Come and see friends. These are the words of Rav Tzvi Hirsch Kaidanover, a blessed memory, as it is written in Sefer Kav HaYashar, chapter 102. He writes, the sages relate in Bereshis Rabbah, Parashas Bereshis 2012, regarding the verse, "And God made tunics of leather," or, spelled with an ayin, for Adam and his wife, Bereshis 3:21. In the Torah scroll of Rabbi Meir, it was stated tunics of light, or spelled with an aleph. This midrash is very perplexing. Why did the spelling tunics of light appear specifically in Rabbi Meir's Torah rather in any other? See what my illustrious father, Rabbi Shmuel Kaidanover, writes about this matter in Birkas Shmuel, Parashas Bereshis 6c, in the name of the illustrious Rabbi Liebzunz. I believe this can be understood in light of an astonishing, beautiful, and satisfying insight I heard from the holy mouth of the saintly Rabbi Heschel Zoref in the name of a certain Kabbalist. He said as follows: first, you must know that Tzepho, son of Eliphaz, son of Esau, mentioned in the verse, the chieftain of Tzepho, Bereshis 36:15, was the first of the husks of impurity of the 70 nations. Corresponding to this on the side of holiness was the land of Tzuf, Shmuel 9:5. For both names are comprised of the same letters. Tzepho was the first king, and his realm was the land of Poland. This name alludes to the name Ploni, a nickname for the Samech Mem, the guardian angel of Esau. For these two names also consist of the same letters. Note that the numerical value of Polin is the same as that of Tzepho. For this reason, too, the kingdom of Edom, Esau's descendants, is also known as the metropolis for metropolin in the language of the sages of the 70 nations. Megillah 6a. For this nation is under the guardianship of the angel of Edom, who was the first of the husks of impurity. Know also that the impure husk of Tzepho was a product of the sin of Adam and Hava. For the tree from which Adam ate was actually the wheat stalk, Berachot 40a. Because wheat, hita, has a numerical value of 22, indicating that by eating of it, Adam blemished the 22 letters with which the Torah is written. It is well known that Adam's sin affected the attribute of Hod, which is the 8th attribute counting down. For 8 times 22 is 176, the numerical value of Tzepho. This is because the sin came about through Hava, who was created from the attribute of Hod, the 8th attribute, and through her came the blemish to the 22 letters as above. Now when the letters comprising the name Hava are spelled out in full, they read Het, Tav, Va, Aleph, Va, He, Va. Then if one drops the initial letters so that one is left with only the hidden letters, that is, those that are not pronounced when the name is spoken, one receives Tav, Aleph, Vav, Aleph, the numerical value of which is 408. This is a hint that in the 408th year of the 6th millennium, namely 1648, the year of the Khmelnytsky massacres, the husk of Tzepho would wax in its strength. For that year was ripe for the redemption, as is alluded to in the verse, or with this zot, for the numerical value of which is 408, Vayikra 16:3. But instead, in that year, many in the lands of Poland and Lithuania were martyred, for it is well known the terrible decrees and harsh judgments that befell the Jews of those lands. In the year Zot, 1648, in which tens of thousands of Jews were killed in sanctification of the name of heaven. When the 3 letters of Zot are spelled out, they read Zayin Yud Nun, Aleph Lamed Pei Tav Vav. The numerical value of the hidden letters, Yud Nun Lamed Pei Vav, is 176, which is equal to the value of the name Tzepho. This is an allusion to the name Ploni, as was mentioned earlier. This is what is meant by the verse, "From the north Zaphon the evil will begin," Jeremiah 1:14. For the value of the word Zaphon, 226, is equal to the value of the names Polin and Lita, Lithuania combined. Therefore, these decrees occurred specifically in these lands and in the year 408. For the words of a wise man are pleasing. I have received additional esoteric insights from the saintly Rabbi Heschel, but I am reluctant to reveal them to anyone but the circumspect. You must know that there is an allusion to the word Tzafon north, which is equal to the combined values of Polin 176 and Lita 50 are 226. As in the verse, they dug Kaf Resh Vav, the value of which is also 226 pits for me. Tehillim 119:85. This indicates that our enemies attacked us with false accusations in order to murder the righteous. It is well known from the sources that the impure husk of Esau is called a boar of the forest, Psalms 80:14. In the book of Psalms, the letter ayin, the value of which is 70 of the word ya'ar, forest, is written in large to indicate that all the 70 nations are subservient to Esau. This is the same ayin that appears in the name of Esau. It indicates that the tunics of leather or with an ayin that replaced the tunics of light or with an aleph that Adam and Hava wore before they sinned, as is known to the Kabbalists. Therefore, in the future when the sin is rectified, those tunics will go back to being tunics of light, as they were before Adam's sin. Come and see, it is known that Rabbi Meir was a descendant of Emperor Nero, Gittin 56a, and it was he who first began rectifying the blemish caused by Esau, namely the boar of the forest. For when Ya'ar with a large ayin is replaced with an aleph, this word Meir will be comprised of the same letters as the root of the name Meir, namely Rabbi Meir, and when the blemish of Esau is completely rectified, the tunics will again be tunics of light. Therefore, in the Torah of Rabbi Meir, whose name means illumination, the phrase tunics of leather was written tunics of light. This should be clear. Similarly, the word boar has a value of 225, which is equal to the value of the word dug in the singular. But when the numerical value of aleph, which is 1, is exchanged in the word ya'ar, and after the ayin of this word has been exchanged for an aleph, a aleph is added to the word kara, value 225, and it will read karu, value 226, as in the verse, "They dug karu, a pit for me." For when the redemption arrives, the nations who dig pits beneath us will be nullified. That is, when the sin of Adam has been rectified and the tunics become tunics of light with an aleph. This should be clear. Now let us return to our original subject. As we mentioned, it is stated that from the north will the evil begin. Therefore, when the redemption arrives, it will begin from the north, that is, in Poland and Lithuania. This is also suggested in the verse, "Awaken, O north, and come, O south," Shir Hashirim 4:16. For the awakening in anticipation of the redemption will begin in the north. Then afterwards will be fulfilled the words, "Come, O south." At that time, Israel will merit the great bounty that has been hidden away for the righteous. I mentioned earlier that on account of Adam's sin, the letter aleph was exchanged for an ayin in the phrase tunics of leather, which should have read tunics of light with an aleph. Therefore it states, "The complainer, that is, the serpent, alienates the leader aleph," Mishli 1628, as is explained in a number of Kabbalistic works, namely that the patriarchs rectified this sin by means of the 3 prayer services they enacted: Shacharit, morning service; Mincha, afternoon service; and Arvit, evening service, the acronym for which is the word Shema, as in Shama Yisrael. And it is well known that on account of Adam's sin, 2 husks of impurity waxed in strength, that of the ox and that of the donkey. The donkey is the husk of Yishmael, while the ox is the husk of Edom. The numerical value of Edom and Yishmael combined is 502, which is the exact number of years that the patriarchs were alive in the world, for Avraham lived 175 years, Yitzchak 180 years, and Yaakov 147 years, for a total of 502. This is because the patriarchs corresponded to those husks on the side of holiness. This is the meaning of the verse, "Do not consume flesh that has been torn in the field," Shemos 22:30, for the value of Basar is also 502. This should be clear. It is well known that Amalek, who is the first of nations, Bamidbar 24:20, is a descendant of the wicked Esau. He has a share in the concept of an other god, because the value of Amalek is 240, which is equal to the words other god. The corresponding principle on the side of holiness is the spirit of Hashem, Shoftim 11:29, which also has a value of 240. Corresponding to the husks of the ox and donkey on the side of holiness are the 2 Moshiachs. Moshiach, son of David, overcomes the husk of the donkey, as it is stated, a humble man riding on a donkey, Zechariah 9:9, while Moshiach, son of Yosef, is called an ox, as in the verse, he has the majesty of a firstborn ox, Devarim 33:17. It is related in the Zohar that from the joining of the two husks of the ox and donkey came another husk, known as the viper, Tzvi, as in the verse, "From the root of the serpent comes a viper," Yeshayahu 14:29. The value of viper Tzvi equals that of Amalek, 240. Therefore, the ink with which a Torah scroll is written must contain afats, gallnut water, Gittin 19a, because the word afats is the reverse of Tzvi. Thus, by writing the Torah scroll with gallnut water, we subjugate the husk of the viper. The word nachash, serpent, is an acronym for nachash, serpent, shamor, donkey, shor, ox. For these were the first three husks of the 70 nations. The numerical value of shor and shamor combined 760 equals that of tzara'az, leprosy. Therefore, the sages have said that the pebble-like pattern on a snake is a form of leprosy. This is because the serpent spoke slander, therefore it was stricken with leprosy. The impure husk of Tzepho, son of Eliphaz, son of Esau, whose guardian angels are the Samech Mem and the wicked Lilis, brought about the terrible destruction of the lands of Poland and Lithuania, as I mentioned earlier. At that time, on account of our many sins, the enemy took hold of the Torah scrolls that were written with sanctity upon leather parchment, specifically on the flesh side of the hide, and not on the side of the hair. The word for flesh is basar, the value of which is 502. The Torah scroll is also written with gallnut water, afats, in order to overcome the husk of Amalek. Therefore, the sages relate that when the Torah scroll was burned by the Romans together with Rabbi Chanina ben Teredion, the letters flew off and only the parchment was burned. Avodah Zarah, 18a. Similarly, in the pogroms of Poland, thousands of Torah scrolls were burned, but their letters flew off and only the parchment and gallnut residue was burned. Moreover, the enemy does not realize that on account of this, they no longer have any handhold in the realm of holiness. For the Torah has commanded us, do not consume flesh basar that is torn in the field. Shemos 22:30. That is, it is forbidden to consume carrion, but it is permitted nevertheless to write upon parchment made from the skins of carrion. Through this the impure forces had a handhold in the realm of holiness. But once those scrolls were burned, the power of the husks was diminished, while the power of the ox and donkey on the side of holiness began to flourish. The ultimate result of this will be that the two Moshiachs, Moshiach son of David and Moshiach son of Yosef, will arrive and the holy temple will descend from heaven to earth. Therefore, in order to conclude with words of consolation, I will write a few words concerning the Beit HaMikdash that is destined to be established in Jerusalem. The third Beit HaMikdash is destined to be 1 kilometer in length by 1 kilometer in width, constructed entirely of precious stones. It'll be surrounded by 3 walls, one of silver, one of gold, and one of precious stones that will shine with an array of colors. Each wall will be 6 cubits thick, and outside of them will be another wall composed of fire surrounding the entire structure. The walls will have 1,488 towers made of gems, and between every 2 towers will be 120 gates, each of which will be made of precious stones. 2,003 pools of spring water will emerge from the mountains upon which the holy temple will stand, for it will be erected upon the summits of the 4 mountains: Mount Sinai, Mount Carmel, Mount Tabor, and Mount Chermon. The city of Jerusalem will be 400 parsa by 400 parsa. And when the Beit HaMikdash descends from heaven to earth, the Holy One, blessed is He, will gather in the exiles of Israel, and we will sing a new song. Then Israel will rejoice in its Maker, and the sons of Sion will exult in their King. With the coming of our Moshiach, the Satan and the husks of impurity will be eradicated from the world, for everything will then be rectified, and the evil inclination will be nullified. At that time we will all merit tunics of light with an Aleph. For it is stated, Hashem will be for you an eternal light. Yeshayahu 60:19. Amen. So may it be His will.